All right, everyone. Sorry for the late start. Let's go ahead and begin today's discussion on various topics. Opening up with the prayer for the spiritual workers. Prayer for spiritual workers. Almighty, I bless all those because of their limitations would smite me. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their weakness, would not heed me. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their ignorance, would defile you through me. And I ask, Almighty God, O wondrous power, that your strength may be given to me now. I might be fortified by this, so that I might go forward bravely into the world, and despite reception, send forth my love of thee throughout all races of man. Mighty God, give me the power and strength to rise above my karmic weakness, the deficiencies in the pattern of my evolution. I might evolve and become stronger, I, and even stronger in thy everlasting light. God will. All right, everyone.
So, Dwayne, did you lay out a topic for today?
Everybody, can you hear me better?
I can hear you better now.
Okay. No, I did not lay out a topic for today. We did have a couple questions emailed. Okay, so welcome everyone. Just getting myself sorted here. So this is open discussion and various topics, class 110. As per usual, feel free to ask or post your questions in the chat. Joining us on Zoom, you can also use the raise hand feature and ask your questions audibly, and we'll answer those for you. Last week in the second half of our open discussion, we looked at the 7 dimensions of creation. A follow-up from the previous open discussion where we looked at the 4 aspects. Also in that discussion, referred you to the source lecture of that material from Dr. George King on the 7 dimensions of creation, available from the Day Society, as well as some supplementary lectures that Nehemiah has given on the same subject material in our video library. So I invite you to go back and take a look at that. So do we have any questions or comments to begin today's open discussion?
Why don't we start off with the questions that was emailed in?
Okay. Okay, so first question from email. More? No. If the absolute is simplicity, and we are on a journey back towards it, and the 9 freedoms and beyond explain how we evolve back as greater and greater beings, why do aspects of the 9 freedoms and beyond involve what would seem to be complexity, with overlap and intertwining of different entities? For example, if a Saturnian can occupy 1,000+ different bodies, including perhaps an ocean on another planet, while another Saturnian is in an animal form in the same sea, and the sun can be 20,000 different suns simultaneously, and Mars Sector 6 could be an aspect of the planet Mars and is a lord of karma as well as other things, etc. Does this represent complexity?
In mystic understanding, we understand that everything is simplicity and everything is complex too. But the complexity is only there until a greater understanding have evolved in the consciousness to see the simplicity of it. You know, just like Dr. King once talked about Sir Oliver Lodge and his statement that no one can tell me what happens when I wiggle my finger, because there's multitudes of things that's happening when you direct your consciousness to wiggle your finger. There's tremendous amount of mental energy placed behind that, blood vessels, you know, all type of bone structures is giving signals, the heart, the lungs, everything is in play. But the simplicity is that you understand that you can determine the output of wiggling the finger, and that you can make that command. So everything is complex until it isn't complex. And it isn't complex when you raise your consciousness to a particular level. So it's just that simple. You know, we can take a computer and have a computer calculate the motions of things in order to regulate the energy and the flow and all the different levels of energy, whether it's a gaseous energy or a subtle electronic type energy or gross physical energy. But our end resort is to create a particular situation, just like placing a key in an ignition and turning it. There's a complex mechanism behind doing that. But the simplicity is that you can open that door and you can place the key in the ignition and turn it on. Or if you have the more modern car, you can just push a button and turn it on. So everything is complex until it isn't, until you raise the level of your consciousness to see the simplicity of it. I hope you can understand that. I mean, it's very simple in the mystic. It's just like a mechanic who tell you to turn the car on and they listen with their ears and they can pinpoint the problem from the sound of the car, only because of their level of experience and their level of consciousness in that particular field. So it's the same way a doctor can watch you speak, walk, place your body movement, and determine what's ailing you, because their level of consciousness and knowledge have reached a certain level to allow them to do that. I hope that kind of give you an explanation so you can begin to move down that avenue to understand.
Okay. And the next question is regarding pranayama practice and the rules of eating around, let's see, 2 to 3 hours after and 1 hour before, or not eating 1 hour before or 2 to 3 hours after. Does this only apply to retention of the breath? Says, I've been practicing lengthening the breath, which never really means swallowing it, and have sometimes had strange feelings and wondered if it is related to that.
Well, the way I understand pranayama and practice pranayama is that you abstain from eating at least up to 2 to 3 hours before your pranayama practices. Then after your pranayama practices, you do another fast for 1 hour before you eat. So that's the procedure. And reason why you want to do that is because if you did eat or drink or whatever before, you don't want that to interfere with the regulation of breath, intake of breath, the retention of breath, and the exhale of breath. You don't want your digestive system in full operation while you're trying to control the energy flow in the body. Because when your body is digesting food, it's using up a lot of energy in the body while it's digesting food. In fact, I think it was Swami Sivananda who stated that you should eat in small quantities every 3 to 4 hours a day. You shouldn't take a mass amount of food in all at once in order to regulate the energy intake of the body and not overwork the digestive system. And when you do that, that's why they recommended that you wake up 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning on an empty stomach and do your pranayama exercises. And then wait 1 hour after you finish to allow the energy to subside, and before you begin to work the body. And then once you do that, take small portions at a time. Hope that answers your question.
That's it for the questions that were emailed. Are there any other questions? Or is there any particular subject you'd like us to discuss?
We can go into one of the PowerPoints if you have them.
Okay, let me see. I have those. The Tantra Yoga Psychic Development ones.
Let's do one we haven't did, and we never did the Mudra one, right? The Mudra PowerPoint. Did we have a pranayama one as well?
Pranayama PowerPoint? I don't know. Let me check. None of my.
You had a Mudra one, right?
Nothing's coming up on my computer
For which one?
for the Mudra or the Pranayama presentation.
Yeah, I sent it to you. I think I sent it to you.
I did have a question about a statement Dr. George King made. He said if man thinks too high of a thought, will instantly disintegrate and leave the planet. And he said there's been cases of that happening in the past. So what does it mean by that? He said in his most recent
Yeah,
one.
I heard him say that before. I heard several masters went into something like that before. It's the and I think it was misinterpreted by some people too, where people would say that if you concentrate or contemplate or meditate on something, on a particular word or whatever, then you will ascend or something like that.
Mhm.
But I think the people who elevate their mind to a particular level, that they can think a particular thought that's not within the thought patterns of this earth or above the thought patterns of this earth, then in my opinion, this is my opinion, then they are absorbed back into with their particular soulmate, that they was here to collect a particular information or experience, and then they have reached that level of experience. Because it's just like here on earth, you have a soulmate, I have a soulmate, and when these collective soulmates come together, then we ascend and we leave the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us have soulmates that, if you understand the matrix of soulmates, that have already left earth and is going through a particular, and the part of them that's here is going through a particular experience in order to be able to merge with the higher aspects of themselves, either here or somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. King have a particular, it's a short A-series tape called Soulmates. And it's very interesting what he say and what he don't say.
Mm-hmm.
So I will go back and listen to that for greater clarification. And honestly, he was one of the first people I ever heard talk about that, and that made sense.
Mhm.
Everybody else had this mushy thing going on. I sent you that.
Okay. Did find a presentation. Did find one here: psychic and spiritual development, the mystic science of Raja Yoga.
I sent you the Mudra Yoga one.
Okay. You guys come from. All right. So let me. Do we have any questions? Comments before I jump into this Mudra Yoga presentation or discussion? If not, let's go to it. So I haven't read through this presentation yet, but we'll cover parts of it. Maybe over the next couple of open discussion sessions, we'll take a look at the science of Mudra Yoga and prana manipulation through the use of mystic signs. And even though we're going through this presentation, it does not constitute an initiation into Mudra Yoga. So mudras follow the same law as mantras. So you should only receive mudras and mantras from a master, and you should not give out mudras to others. So I think in this We'll cover maybe the first 5 sections over the next couple of weeks, or just jump around to different areas. A lot of material should be familiar to you guys if you've been studying with us for a while. In fact, we looked at the pranas and a little bit of Mudra Yoga a couple weeks ago, particularly when we're talking about pranayama and how to count with the hands and using the knuckles and the fingers to help us in our counts when we're breathing in and out. So Mudra Yoga methods of pranic manipulation. Mudra Yoga is known as the yoga of mystic hand signs, body gestures, and postures that man uses to help seal and redirect the subtle and gross cosmic energies within the subtler bodies and physical body. Mudra Yoga is an advanced form of yoga that helps the practitioner of the mudra technique to create a link between the physical body, mental bodies, prana bodies, and the subtle bodies by sealing certain prana flows, redirecting prana flows, and redistributing prana flows through mudra mental command techniques. This Mudra Yoga is built on the metaphysical science of Tantra Sastra and Mantra Sastra, which includes the vital life force called Kundalini, the primary vehicle of consciousness of the soul, which aligns itself with the chakra system within the auric structure that can be described as a series of vortex centers of cosmic, subtle, mental, and vital energies wrapped in subtle sonic modes of motions called the tattvic rays, radiating from the mighty sun and intertwining with the other planets, including our Earth and Moon. The Kundalini sends a stream of subtle energies from itself, also with a series of ancient sonic sounds. From it springs the Ida Nadis, a mental flow of energies, and the Pingala Nadis, a vital flow of energies. And these Nadis thread themselves through the 108 chakras within the auric structure, creating a matrix of consciousness. These two Nadic pranic flows of energies creates the intelligent energy patterns for consciousness to work through and operate as the background force for the mental energies, vital energies, and for the subtle and gross bodies. Mudra Yoga helps to enhance your attitude by bringing about a clear level of concentration and increase your sensory reception. In this presentation, we will go into the subject of Mudra Yoga briefly in order to show the usefulness of this ancient metaphysical science in regards to our analogy of the mystic techniques of enhancing concentration, imagination, visualization, pranayama, mantra japa, the mystic prayer techniques, and many other forms of mystic practice. The goal here is to show how the Mudra Yoga techniques is a universal science and methodology within a yoga system, within the yoga system, yet most of its core teachings are left in secret. This lesson offers to help reveal some of these secrets to the students who are ready. There wasn't much known about this secret metaphysical science of yoga in the Western world until the late 19th century and early 20th century, when the Eastern masters of yoga from India and Tibet began to release their ancient teachings to the Western world. Once this material was made available to the Western world, it was mass-produced and distributed throughout the Western society. Although the teachings were diluted, they still exposed this part of the world with at least fragments of the ancient metaphysical teachings. Mudra Yoga is a form of yoga that is practiced with all the major yoga systems. Hatha Yoga uses mudras to strengthen the physical body to allow free flow of prana between the physical and subtle physical realms. Bhakti Yoga uses mudras to channel, generate, and project devotional pranas, cosmic energies, of love and cosmic energies of service. Raja Yoga uses mudras to assist in bringing about control over the mental faculties. Kundalini Yoga uses Mudra Yoga to seal and lock the flow of pranas in the body while pushing it and directing it in one direction with concentration, contemplation, and meditation, in order to move consciousness from a lower level to a higher level and back to its original level. Karma Yoga is the yoga of divine laws in action and service. Karma Yoga and Mudra Yoga are constantly intertwined. Karma Yoga is all about making the right actions and bringing about the right results that propel a person forward. Dr. George King stated that karma is a pressure towards conformity of or with the divine laws. Everything in manifestation is within this all-pervasive framework of karmic laws, divine laws of God, that act as a pressure within creation to preserve and maintain the law that pushes all manifested life and so-called non-life towards a predetermined goal. Therefore, all life actions are karmic actions, and all movement is a series of mudras, bringing about the necessary karmic actions needed to progress life. Therefore, Karma Yoga and Mudra Yoga are intertwined. And again, everyone, as we're reading through the presentation, again, feel free to ask any questions or post any comments you have. I'll go back and forth between the chat to make sure I catch all of your questions. The five groups of Mudra Yoga. Following are the 5 major groups of mudras that are used to manipulate the subtle pranas of the body by sealing and redirecting the pranas to higher levels of operation. Number 1, we have the hasta or hand mudras. This form of mudra is performed with the hands. It is usually used to redirect the flow of pranas back into the body and to heighten consciousness. Number 2, mana or head mudras. The mudras that are used with the head are usually used in techniques to heighten the power of Kundalini within the body. The practice utilizes the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and lips. Number 3, kaya or postural mudras. These mudra practices of kaya utilizes the physical body in various postures combined with breathing, pranayama, and concentration techniques. Number 4, bandha, locked mudras. The mudra practices of bandha are techniques that lock the body in various positions in order to redirect pranas along specific channels, or to get rid of subtle blockages and increase prana flow to allow an awakening of Kundalini with constant practice. Number 5, adhara, or perennial mudras. These techniques of Mudra Yoga deal with redirecting pranas operating in the lower regions, chakras, to the brain region. stimulating the higher chakras and purifying the lower chakras, allowing man to reach higher states of consciousness. Most knowledge on Mudra Yoga is secret and is not allowed to be given to the general public, or is only given through initiation. Mudra Yoga techniques are very potent and yield fast results. This is why the majority of the knowledge is kept secret and away from the general public. Most of the mudras that are secret are those mudras that work along with mantras in some type of ancient ritual that give man access to a tremendous amount of raw Shakti power for short periods of time to perform a task or mission of some type. Being that I was born into a family that studied and practiced ancient metaphysical teachings of this caliber, I witnessed many miraculous events brought about by the power of mudras. I also heard stories of miraculous events from eyewitness accounts, such as mudras being used to turn away a tornado that was about to land on an impoverished neighborhood, something that I witnessed as a child. As unbelievable as this may seem, I witnessed the power of Mudra Yoga in full effect. Mudra Yoga is not just a series of hand gestures. It is a sacred science of yoga that allows mankind to tap into a tremendous amount of subtle pranas. After witnessing this power of Mudra Yoga, I made a request to my father, who I witnessed use this great power and had the knowledge of this sacred metaphysical science Mudra Yoga taught to me. This presentation will outline several techniques of Mudra Yoga used in various yogic type practices, such as the controlled imagination practice, controlled visualization practice, creating energy fields, tapping into subtle energy streams within the aura, and destroying of negative thought forms. The projection of mental thought forms, the projecting of streams of energies through techniques of contact healing or absentee healing, group prayer, as well as personal prayer, japa techniques for chanting mantra with technique using a spoken voice, a whispered voice, or pure mental voice or thought. Technique of blessing an object or room, or blessing an individual or person. These Mudra Yoga techniques are results of him, the author's father, teaching him, the author, this most sacred and misunderstood subject of Mudra Yoga. In the practice of Mudra Yoga, the whole body, mind, and soul is used in the technique. The fingers, hands, and arm positions are the main focus of Mudra Yoga. The head, legs, breath, and right mental visualization are also used in the Mudra Yoga. The reason why the main focus is placed on the fingers, hands, and arm positions is that the hands are linked to at least 5 of the major chakras along the spinal column through the Nadic flow of pranas. Again, that's referring to, remember, the Mudra Yoga diagram we looked at in previous open discussions, where the fingers are laid out and the pranas are correlated to each finger, as well as the tattvas, as well as their respective psychic centers. I don't know if it's in this presentation, but it is in the shared folder, so you can go back and take a look at that. Each finger is not only linked to the chakras, but also to the flow of the 5 major pranas that flows through these subtle bodies via the Nadic system and the chakra system. It is also linked to the following: the 5 major pranas, the 5 mahabhutas, 360 tattvic rays, which remember radiate through the sun, and is manipulated by each planet in turn. Nada, subtle sound vibrations, and a variation of mental energies. The fingers and hand also represent the elements of the earth, which is a manifestation of the subtle formation of the pranic flow in gross matter. During the actual technique of the Mudra Yoga, the arms are used to align the finger and hands with the flow of pranas and the mental projections emerging from the major chakras along the spinal column. That sentence is very important and is quite, I think, is a key in understanding Mudra Yoga. I would invite you, if you're members at Dear Society, to go back and watch videos of His Eminence, Sir George King, performing in front of, not performing, but in front of a battery and prayer power, or on top of a mountain, leading a group, and look at, or anytime he's performing Mudra Yoga practice, observe how he performs Mudra Yoga. And also listen to some lectures where he talks about whenever he approaches a battery, he does so as if it is a karate attack. His level of intensity and conviction he has whenever he's employing Mudra Yoga and prayer power and other practices. The following table shows the fingers' relationships to the elements, tattvic pranic states, 5 major pranas, and the associated chakras with each particular finger. The energy centers of the hand for mudra practice. In the practice of Mudra Yoga, the whole body, mind, and soul is used in the technique. The fingers, hands, and arms positions are the main focus of Mudra Yoga. The head, legs, breath, and right mental visualization are also used in the Mudra Yoga. So keep this in mind. So whenever you're given a mudra or initiated into mudra, you will be given the entire technique in order to make it work. Right, so if you're just given one part and the other parts are left out, that is not a proper initiation. That's one way to help develop your discernment. So if you go back and listen to the teachings of Dr. George King, you'll see that any time a practice is given, all elements of the practice are given so that you can take that practice, apply it, and use it to its full effect. So when we're given the prayer mudra, for example, we're also given the mantras and the visualization to employ it, to make it work. And prayer power, we're given, again, the mantras, the mudras, the visualization, the full technique in order to make prayer power work. In the healing technique taught by Dr. George King, we're given the mantras, the mudras, the visualizations, the full science behind it in order to make it work. So keep that in mind whenever you're learning and gaining these different initiations. The reason why the main focus is placed on the fingers, hands, and arm positions is that the hands are linked to at least 5 of the major chakras along the spinal column. Each finger is not only linked to the chakras, but to the flow of the 5 major pranas. As you can see in the illustration, the finger, the minor and major centers, as well as the elements of prana that each one is linked to. The fingers and hands also represent the elements of the earth. During the actual technique of the mudras, the arms are used to align the fingers and hands with the flow of pranas and the mental projections emerging from the major chakras along the spinal column. The following table shows the fingers' relationships to the chakras or psychic centers, cosmic elements, Mahabhutas, tattvic prana states, the 5 major pranas, and the associated chakras with each particular finger. Let's pause really quick to see, are there any questions? Or is there anything you want to add, Nehemiah?
No.
All right. Table 2, the hand associations with the chakras, 5 pranas. The thumb associated with the earth elements or the tattvic pranic state of Prithivi. The 5 major prana is apana, and the associated chakra is Muladhara, or the base of the spine center. Next, we have the index finger. Its associated element is water, or apas. Its major prana, the tattvic pranic state is apas, and the major prana is vyana. Its associated sana is the Svatisthana chakra, or the sex center. Then there's the middle finger. Associated element is fire. Tattvic pranic state is Tijas, and its major prana is samana. Associated chakra is Manipura, and its English name is the solar plexus center. Followed by the ring finger. Element is air, or pranic state Vayu. Its prana, major prana is prana, associated with the anahata, or heart center. And finally, the little finger. Its element is ether. Its tattvic pranic state akasa. Its major prana is udana. Associated chakra is vishuddha, or the throat chakra. And by the way, this is the correct association. You may see in other texts it listed differently, but this is the correct association of the elements and the fingers. And we have the sources. We can give you our sources where we get information if so requested. Okay. Next section is Mudra Yoga keys. There are 9 steps to achieving successful results from mudra techniques. The first 4 steps are steps to constructing the foundation, and the other 5 steps are for the execution of the mudra technique. Excuse me a minute. Okay. The 4 steps that form the foundation are Jnana Yoga, outlining the pathway of wisdom. Karma Yoga teaches the ancient system that sets up the framework of the divine laws. It brings about an understanding of the divine law that govern all actions within the universe. The 3, Bhakti Yoga, teaches you to devote yourself to God through all your thoughts and actions. And number 4, Mantra Yoga, is the sacred science of sound and spiritual consciousness of the soul. Those are the foundation steps. And the next 5 are the execution steps. Execution steps are parts are for achieving success in Mudra Yoga techniques as follows. 1, Pranayama, as a method to bring about a control of the subtle energies, which leads to control over the gross energies. Pratyahara, a method to bring about a withdrawal of the senses to achieve control over the senses operating within the auric field's mental and vital substance. Concentration, directing your thoughts down a single track or a single line of thought in order to vitalize the visualization. Visualization is creating a mental image that comes to life and sustains itself from the previous steps mentioned above. And then finally, contemplation is being able to immediately bring about a concentrated level that moves the physical senses within the body and mind and directs the pranas throughout the auric structure of the body of the soul. The triggering mechanism for mudra techniques. So encompassed in mudra techniques is, as like before, Nani, Karma, Bhakti yogas, Pranayama methods, and visualization techniques. Nani yoga, the Sanskrit word nani, means wisdom or knowledge. It denotes the wisdom of a subject, place, or object. Within everything, there's a sattvic lining or a level of pure consciousness that holds the wisdom of that thing. Jnana Yoga is union with God through wisdom. Karma Yoga, the Sanskrit word karma means action, and all actions represents the framework of divine laws that operates as the pressures of creation that reacts to all movement. In it, karma is the pressure that pushes all things towards conformity. Karma yoga is union with God through actions that bring about the correct reactions which drive progress. Bhakti yoga. Bhakti in Sanskrit means devotion. The right knowledge or wisdom will lead you to the right karmic actions. Those right karmic actions will include devotion to the God in everything and everyone. Bhakti yoga is union with God through devotion to God throughout all life. Pranayama. Prana means subtle cosmic energies. Yama means control. The Sanskrit word pranayama means the control of subtle cosmic energies. On a physical level, the breath is used for the control of prana. On the mental level, directed thought through visualization is used to control prana. Okay. I'll do these two and then triggering mechanisms for Mudra techniques. The chakra, there's something before this. Chakra, a chakra is a vortex center of power, a compaction of cosmic energies. And the energy components of the chakras are one, the bindu, which is the spiritual germ originating from the all knowledge space, the source. Two, the nada, supreme subtle sound vibrations. Three, Shakti, absolute power and principles of Shakti. Four, Chitta, universal mind energies and mind substance. Five, Tattvic rays, the modes of motion Nada Shakti takes under karmic pressures. Six, Chakra mantra, a major sound vibration of the chakras. Seven, Chakra bija, seed mantra or chakra petals. Eight, Mahabhutas, the five cosmic elements. And nine, pranas, the five major pranas. Let's take a look at the nadis and the chakras. The nadis are a flow of subtle energies within the auric body, or layers of the auric fields. Nadis create a matrix of movements of subtle, vital, and mental energies. Mind energies move at 4 million times the speed of light. It molds and shapes subtle and gross energies and provides the fertile grounds for seeds of consciousness. Then we have three types of chakras at the major chakras, and those are the points at which the nadis intersect at least 21 times. You have minor chakras, those are points where nadis intersect 14 times, and minute chakras, where the nadis intersect 7 times. Within the body, there are 108 chakras, or known chakras, within the auric and subtle structures, which are compaction points of subtle streams of energies that allows consciousness to express itself. And there these are the types of nadic flows, or flows of energy, are the Pingala nadis. And if you look at the illustration, those are the red dotted line crisscrossing the psychic centers, the chakras. And that represents the vital flow. Then you have the Ida nadis, those are the blue dotted lines crisscrossing the psychic centers, representing a mental flow. And you have the Sushumna nadis, a neutral flow, which is represented traveling up the center, intersecting all of the psychic centers. There are 242,000 nadi pathways within the auric and subtle bodies, which are the subtle lines of force or flowing streams of energies, which carry mental, vital, and nadic type energies, which makes up the ingredients of consciousness. Okay, so we'll pick up next time on this slide, brief future hand technique presentation. Do you have any questions? Any comments or anything you want to add, Nehemiah?
No, but I'll answer any questions anyone asks.
I have a question here. What would the ring finger represent?
The ring finger represents either, and it represents the Udana flow of prana. I mean, the ring. I'm thinking about the pinky. The ring finger represents
It's air, right?
air, vayu in Mahabhutas, and it represents the flow of prana. The element is air. Which represents life. I believe that's why they use that particular finger.
Any more questions? Question here, would you say each finger represents an entity or spirit?
No and yes. Each finger represents an energy, and energy is manipulated by the devas. So if you are saying that it represents a a a, a, a loyal servant of karma, which is which from the realms of the David kingdom, because the David kingdom, they serve the laws of God, and they make sure that energy patterns follow the strict laws of God. So if you're talking about that, yes, but not a discarnated entity or spirit. No, it doesn't. But energy, when you drink water, water is controlled by the David kingdom. Air is controlled by the David kingdom. Electricity is controlled by the David kingdom. Germination is controlled by the David kingdom. So if you're talking about those entities which are loyal servants of the laws of karma, or the laws of God, then yes.
We see lots of people raising their pinky finger while drinking something. Does this mean anything?
I'm sure it means something. But I mean, what it means, I'm not sure. I would have to examine that. I mean, but remember, that's the energy configuration of Akasa, which is the carrying agent for all energy, all or subtle forces. And drinking is the next level of subtle forces. Water or liquids. So maybe it's an automatic mudra that the body has us to do for some reason. And it's a manipulation, because remember, your subconscious mind controls involuntary movement. And the subconscious mind does not work outside of the laws of karma. The subconscious mind of you is like a great diva that strictly follow the rules and the laws that God give us. It's the conscious mind that creates the pressure, the negative pressure of karma. And it's the subconscious mind that balance those things out so that we can have experience. Now, when you merge the subconscious mind and the conscious mind together, then it's merged into the superconscious mind. And at that point, you have full consciousness. And you no longer have to go through the crazy levels of unconsciousness and cycles of reincarnation and all of that. So if you study the patterns of our body and our makeup, we're always making certain movements to adjust energy that's within our body or outside of our body. or outside of the physical structure of the body.
All right, are there any final questions as we close out today's session? Okay. Let's close out reciting the New Lord's Prayer. The New Lord's Prayer. O divine and wondrous Spirit, O everlasting Lord of hosts, send forth now through me thy great and lasting power. Allow me, Almighty God, the lasting privilege of radiating to all the world thy great love, so that those who suffer may be given the power and energy to rise above their weaknesses. Almighty God, in great humility do I ask you to send forth your power to give to me this great lasting privilege of being a channel, so that my suffering brothers may be helped and guided and healed and lifted into thy light, so that they who know not may look up, and in doing so receive through their higher selves your divine counsel. Almighty God, this day have you granted me a divine privilege. I ask you now to give to me the strength so that never again will I turn from my inner vision of you. Oh, great peace, great peace, great peace. In praise of your greatness, O God, doth my soul sing. Grant it energy to sing on forever and forever. All right, thank you very much, everyone, for your attendance, your participation. I look forward to seeing you next time, and have a wonderful week. Until then.
Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.